When I was younger, my mom always used to tell me this saying. She'd say, "Don't wish your life away." She would mean that with in respects to when we're kids, all we do is wish to be an adult. But when we get to adulthood, we kind of realize that it's not everything it's made out to be. So the question I'm going to ask is being an adult better than being stuck within the social confinements of childhood, such as codependency, rules, and parents? Well, for most of my childhood, I thought that being an adult was going to be better than being a child. And I was met with a pretty rude awakening when I got to college, and I realized that maybe my opinions weren't true, and that being an adult, it wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. So when I was a kid, I always fantasized about being an adult. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, whenever I wanted to do it. And I didn't want anyone to be able to tell me what I could and couldn't do. So as you can imagine, I was a little bit of a troubled child. I was always getting in arguments with my parents and doing things I shouldn't be doing. One of the worst arguments I got in with my parents was over my 5 p.m. curfew when I used to play football outside with my friends. I was the only one that had to be in at 5 p.m. no matter the day of the week. I was the only one. And I got to sit there and stare at a wall while they all got to play outside, make friends, and become closer to one another. I missed out on a lot, and that really got under my skin, and that made me want to be an adult so I could decide what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it. And then that was further strengthened when I was 8, and I went to my grandmother's ranch up in South Dakota. She has a Polaris, which is like a off-terrain motor vehicle. That was and I stole it, right? And that was the first time I'd ever driven anything, and that's where I fell in love with driving. And so ever since 8, I just wanted to grow up so I could drive. I love driving, and being old enough now, I could say that it is awesome. So my ideology really strengthened in high school because my parents, I wanted complete freedom. They still had the say over what I could and couldn't do in the end, and I wanted to experience the world in ways that a child couldn't. I mean that in respects to when I was younger, I used to play 3 card poker with my grandfather, and I knew about casinos, but I was really sheltered when I was younger, so I didn't really experience the outside world, mainstream media, pop culture until I got in high school and downloaded social media, and that's where I saw my first casino. So right, I'd heard about them, but I didn't know they were their magnificence and how just cool they look. They massive castles, and so I wanted to go, but you have to be 21, and so that kind of set the tone for most of my teenage years. I was always wanting to do stuff that I couldn't do because I was too young, and that made me want to be an adult even more. And that coupled with the fact that my parents could still tell me what I could and couldn't do when I thought I knew what was best for me and I thought I knew everything really got under my skin. And I was also the oldest of 5 kids, so there's never a quiet moment in my house, and that can be really annoying for a 15, 16, 17-year-old boy who just wants a minute to think or just a moment by himself. So I was ready to get out, hang out with people my own age, do things I like doing, not go to the park or go to the child's museum like my mom did with all the kids. And I was just ready to, have a place where I could be me. And so as one can imagine, I was really excited for college. And when I got to college, I was met with the rude awakening that you don't realize how easy being a child is until you're not a child anymore. I mean, being an adult is hard. You have to fend for yourself. I mean, I didn't realize how hard getting food and making food and eating every night was going to be. I always had my mom there, and I didn't realize how amazing she was for that, and I really took that for granted. And also, growing up is hard. It's stressful. You have the weight of the world on your shoulders now. I mean, you either sink or you drown. You have to be someone. Mom and dad aren't here to help anymore. You're it's you against the world, and that's stressful, and that's scary. And the last thing is, you have a sort of ignorance when you're a kid. You're wearing these glasses that make everything seem happy, sparkly, everything's good, the world is great. As you get older, they disappear, and you see the world for what it really is. And that's been one of the hardest parts about growing up for me, is just seeing the world for what it really is, seeing the sadness and the bad, all the bad that's there, and seeing the true shapes of people and who they really are. It's just been hard. So in conclusion, I've come to the conclusion that maybe growing up isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be, and then I should have enjoyed my childhood a little more. So just as everything changes, my ideology did too. At first I thought, or for most of my childhood, matter of fact, I thought that growing up was going to be more fun. than being a kid. But I was met with a rude awakening when I got to college and got a taste of the adult life and realized that maybe it's not everything I thought it was going to be. I mean, being an adult, it's hard. It's a lot of pressure. It's you either sink or swim. It's you. And so it's scary. And I believe that my ideology, or my newfound ideology, that being a child was better than being an adult and growing up is, a matter of fact, not as fun as we make it out to be, sadly. I mean, that's how most things are, though. That it's only going to get harder as we get older, because, I mean, I'm not really adulting right now. I'm adultish, as my mom would say, and I can only imagine that life is going to get harder.